Hello, aspirants. I know how these weeks feel. You are running two clocks at once, the news cycle and the calendar, and both of them keep moving whether or not you are ready. Take a slow breath. You are here. You have opened this session, and that already counts. This examination is not only demanding, it is the kind of examination that quietly reshapes the direction of your entire life. And that weight is real. I am not going to pretend otherwise. What I am going to do in this issue, number 040, is take two events that broke recently and show you exactly how a strong answer script deploys them. Two events, two syllabus locations, two thinker pairings. If you can start syncing the current affairs cycle with the right sociologist and the right concept, that syncing is what separates a candidate who scores 14 out of 20 from a candidate who scores 18 or 19. That is not motivation. That is the arithmetic of your rank. Let us begin. The first event, and this is your paper 2 anchor for the day. On 29 June, the West Bengal Legislative Assembly passed two amendment bills, the Backward Classes Reservation Amendment Bill and the West Bengal Commission for Backward Classes Amendment Bill. The vote went 186 to 17. 77 Muslim communities like Muslim Mollah, Muslim Raj Mistri, and Muslim Darji, were removed from the state's other backward classes list. The OBC quota itself was compressed from a combined 17% down to a uniform 7%. The government said it was implementing the Calcutta High Court's May 2024 ruling, which had faulted the absence of Backward Classes Commission surveys. Syllabus location, and this is important. Primary Paper 2, Religion and Society, Problems of Religious Minorities. Secondary Paper 2, Politics and Society, and Social Movements, Backward Classes Movements. Get this location right in your answer, because misreading the primary unit is the fastest way to lose the top band. Now I want you to hold on to one core insight, because this is the sentence that will lift your script. Reservation categories in India are political artifacts, not natural social kinds. What that means, in plain language, is that backward and other backward class do not describe a group waiting to be found. They describe a category the state constitutes by law, and every time a government adds or removes a community, it is not discovering a fact of nature, it is exercising political power. Now you may be wondering, how do I bring this into a 20 marker without sounding abstract? Here is how. Open with this claim that backwardness is a category the state constitutes. Then use the Bengal event as your empirical evidence. The removal of 77 communities, the compression from 17 to 7%. The event is your evidence. The theory is your destination. Anchor thinker for this event, Christophe Jaffrelot. His 2003 work, India's Silent Revolution, is what you need. Jaffrelot's core concept is what we can call the political vernacularization of caste. Reservation, in his argument, is the institutional bridge through which lower and intermediate strata convert their numerical weight into political voice. Now here is the quotable formulation, and I want you to write this down. As Jaffrelot argued in India's Silent Revolution, reservation is the institutional bridge between numerical presence and political voice, and any legislative contraction of that bridge is a redistribution of power, not merely of jobs. That last clause, redistribution of power, not merely of jobs, is a line the examiner will notice. Deploy it precisely once in a 20 marker, not twice. And remember, the Bengal legislation inverts Jaffrelot's logic. Where the post-Mandal decades expanded the bridge, this legislation contracts it along a religious cleavage. That single sentence, that the move inverts Jaffrelot, is worth 2 marks by itself. Pair Jaffrelot with two Indian anchors. Rajni Kothari, in Caste in Indian Politics, gives you the second sentence you need. Kothari's argument is that Indian democracy does not dissolve caste, it reorganizes it. Every redrawing of the reserve list is therefore an act of political classification. Deploy Kothari as your Indian voice on the same point that the state is the constituting authority. Then, and this is the third move, invoke B.R. Ambedkar's category of constitutional morality. Ambedkar warned that formal legality without constitutional morality can convert instruments of social justice into instruments of communal delimitation. Now, the sharp examiner move here is this: distinguish clearly between the Calcutta High Court's procedural finding, which faulted the absence of surveys, and the Legislative Act, which was substantive, cancelling nearly 12 lakh certificates. That distinction, procedural versus substantive, is the sentence that shows you have read the case, not just the headline. Now, put on the examiner's spectacles with me. A 14 out of 20 script on this event narrates. It says, the West Bengal Assembly passed two bills, so many voted for, so many against, the quota was reduced, and it lists the reasons. That is chronology, and chronology alone tops out at 14. An 18 out of 20 script does 5 things in tight sequence. It opens with a structural claim. Reservation is a political artifact. It names Jaffrelot with the exact work, India's Silent Revolution. It uses the Bengal event in one, at most 2 sentences, as evidence, not as subject. It brings in Kothari as an Indian anchor and Ambedkar on constitutional morality. And it closes with a forward-looking synthesis that reservation politics has become a site of majoritarian consolidation, with the Trinamool Congress Supreme Court challenge as the counter move. 5 moves, 250 words. That is the difference between a 14 and an 18 or 19. The current event is your evidence. The theory is your destination. The probable question I want you to write for practice tonight, before you go to bed. In the light of West Bengal's 2026 legislative exclusion of 77 Muslim communities from the OBC list, critically examine the proposition that reservation categories in India are political artifacts rather than social scientific facts. 20 marks. Paper 2. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Write it out. And I want you to open your first sentence with the claim, not with the event. Move now to the paper 1 anchor for the day. And this is the theme that is climbing fastest for Mains 2026. So do not skim it. On 15 June, the United Kingdom government announced a full ban on social media accounts for those under 16. The platforms named are Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Enforcement is expected from spring 2027. The measure goes further than a ban. Live streaming by under 16s is prohibited. Stranger communication in gaming is banned. And AI romantic companion chatbots must enforce a minimum age of 18. The regulator, Ofcom, already levies fines up to £18 million or 10% of qualifying revenue. Now the syllabus location. Primary Paper 1. Systems of Kinship, Contemporary Trends. Secondary Paper 1. Social Change in Modern Society. Science, Technology, and Social Change. With a cross-link to Unit 4, Sociological Thinkers, on Mead. The core sociological question here is not the technology, it is the socialization of the self. Bring in George Herbert Mead. Mead's claim in Mind, Self and Society is that the self arises through symbolic interaction with what he called the generalized other. That is, the internalized attitudes of the community that give the self its moral compass. Now think about what the generalized other is when a 14-year-old is on TikTok 6 hours a day. It is not the community of parents, teachers, and neighbors. It is an algorithmically ranked feed, curated to maximize engagement, not moral integration. That is the structural argument. The state is saying that algorithmic curation has become such a corrupted generalized other that it will interpose statutory age assurance before age 16. If you can put that sentence into your script, the examiner sees theory landing on the event. Two thinkers, one Indian angle for the counter. Mead is your primary anchor. Quotable formulation. As George Herbert Mead argued in Mind, Self, and Society, the self emerges through role taking in relation to a generalized other, and any structural change in that other, including its algorithmic curation, is a change in the substrate of identity itself. That sentence, delivered exactly once, tells the examiner you are in command of the concept. Second anchor, Michel Foucault. The move to require highly effective age assurance, to ban live streaming for under 16s, to age-gate AI companion chatbots is a Foucauldian extension of governmentality into the developmental life of the child. The state has moved from punishing harmful content to regulating the architecture of interaction. That is disciplinary power in a new medium. And your counterposition, which every 20 marker needs, comes from Amnesty International. That risk should be internalized by producers, not shifted on to child users. That single counter sentence lifts the argument from monologue to dialectic. Same examiner's lens. A 14 out of 20 answer on this event will list the harms of social media, mention Snapchat and TikTok, and lament falling attention spans. That is journalism, not sociology, and it will not clear 14. An 18 or 19 script does this. It names Mead in the first two sentences and defines the generalized other exactly. It connects the algorithmic feed to the substrate of the developing self. It then deploys either Foucault's governmentality or Beck's risk society, one, not both superficially. It uses the UK ban in at most two sentences as evidence. It counters with amnesty on producer responsibility. And it closes by comparing to India, where the analogous regulator does not yet exist and the sociological cost is displaced onto families and schools. 5 moves, 250 words. The current event is your evidence. The theory is your destination. Probable question 2, which I want you to attempt this weekend. In the light of the United Kingdom's 2026 ban on social media for those under 16, critically examine Mead's concept of the generalized other as a category for understanding the socialization of the digital self. 20 marks, paper 1. When you write it, remember, the ban is the evidence, Mead is the destination, not the other way around. Let us recap what your notebook should look like tonight. Event 1. West Bengal OBC Bills. Anchor Jaffrelot on Silent Revolution. Pair with Kothari on politicization of caste. Close with Ambedkar on constitutional morality. Structural claim. Reservation categories are political artifacts. Event 2. United Kingdom under 16 ban. Anchor Mead on the generalized other. Pair with Foucault on governmentality. Counter with amnesty. Structural claim. The algorithmic generalized other is a new substrate of the self. Across both events, one refrain. The current event is your evidence. The theory is your destination. Not the reverse, not chronology, not narration. That refrain, repeated in every script you write for the next 100 days, is what carries a candidate into the top rank. Two closing points before I let you go. First, and I mean this seriously, the real secret of clearing this examination is not intelligence. It is the ability to keep the routine going on the day you feel least like keeping it going. Show up tomorrow. Second, if today's coaching was useful and you want the complete answer block for every event, the model answer written out in full, the answer skeleton, the quotation arsenal, the flashcards, and the examiner notes, we prepare all of that daily for subscribers to the Sociology Desk. Two ways to reach us. Drop your email in the comments below or write to team@upscdesk.com. team@upscdesk.com. That is it. Now go write one of the two questions I gave you. Set a timer, 25 minutes. See you tomorrow.